My name is Sikshit and I run Tutu, the coolest ride-sharing platform in Nepal and soon to go outside of Nepal. मेरो घर चाहिँ खास डोटी हो हैन अनि डोटीमा स्कुलहरू हुन्थेन त्यतिखेर राम्रो स्कुल हुन्थेन स्कुल त अभियसली हुन्थ्यो अनि धनगढी पनि एकदमै डिस्कनेक्टेड थियो काठमाडौँबाट हैन यहाँबाट पुलहरू थिएन यताउता गाह्रो हुन्थ्यो तर म सानो हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ मलाई अब छोराले राम्रो ठाउँ पढाउनु पर्यो भनेर मलाई मेरो पेरेन्ट्सले नैनीताल लिएर जानुभयो अनि नैनीताल पछि नैनीतालमा स्कुलमा एडमिसन गरेँ म सानै थिएँ आई थिङ्क आई वाज अराउन्ड 7 or 8 बिफोर 8 अफकोर्स आई वाज 6 or 7 अनि त्यहाँ गएर भर्ना गरिसकेपछि आई स्टिल हेभ अ भेरी भेरी फेन्ट मेमोरी अफ मी क्राइङ एन्ड होल्डिङ माई फादर के मलाई लिएर यहाँ नचढ्नु मलाई हिन्दी बोल्न आउँदैन भनेर सो द्याट वाज माई एक्सक्युज सो त्यो भएपछि चाहिँ मेरो पेरेन्ट्सहरू चाहिँ पग्लिनु भयो अनि फिर्ता लिएर आउनुभयो तर पढाउनु त पऱ्यो अनि कहाँ पढाउने भन्दाखेरि बरु नेपालमै पढाउने भनेपछि अनि मलाई चाहिँ काठमाडौँमा त्यसपछि म 8 वर्ष हुँदाखेरि काठमाडौँ गएँ अनि त्यहाँ गएर म बोर्डिङ स्कुलमा पढेँ जेएम्समा पढेँ त्यसपछि मैले इन्जिनियरिङ गरेँ एमबिए गरेँ आई वर्क अल नेपाल मेरो एजुकेसन चाहिँ पुरै नेपालमै हो या सो आई वर्क फर या द्याट्स व्हाट happened with me.
And how did you come up with so you wanted to do software for your I believe you've done software, right?
No, I'm a telecom engineer.
Telecom.
म चाहिँ टेलिकम इन्जिनियर हो त्यसपछि म टेलिकम कम्पनीमा 7 वर्ष काम गरेँ त्यसपछि म ब्याङ्कमा काम गरेँ 5 वर्ष
So you picked up from here and there all the attributes
yeah
to set up
yes
so if you don't mind me asking which school were you in?
I went to James.
No in Nainital.
In Nainital I think it was Amtul's.
Amtul. Oh wow. That's a problem. You need a problem.
Sorry?
We started in Nainital itself, so yeah.
So which school did you go to? Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So it was long back, you know. So, yeah, अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ म जेम्समा पढेँ जेम्समा पढेपछि त्यही नै that's how the education went.
So like what was the real inspiration behind Tutu?
Behind Tutu?
Oh.
I mean, see, I have actually spoken about this and I've also spoken in Joe's Talks, you know Joe's Talks? Yeah, so I've shared it there that I didn't become an entrepreneur to solve a problem. Yeah. I feel entrepreneurship is more like arts, music. It's a way of expression for you. So it's a kind of an expression for me. But as you delve into that, then you start looking for problems and things like that. But coming back to Tutul, I mean, यदि टुटुलको बारेमा कुरा गर्ने हो भनेको चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो जस्तो सिटीहरू छ नि काठमाडौँ जस्तो सिटीमा पब्लिक ट्रान्सपोर्टेसन इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर छैन ओभर प्राइस ट्याक्सिज छ या भनौँ न बसहरू एकदमै गाह्रो छ त्यसैले त्यसलाई एउटा डिपर ह्युमन पर्सपेक्टिभबाट हेर्दाखेरि हाम्रो जस्तो सहरहरूमा चाहिँ मान्छेलाई मोबिलिटीको फ्रिडम छैन कि जस्तै तपाईँ विदेशमा जहाँ गए पनि आई मिन एनीवेयर यु गो आउटसाइड यु विथ द ट्रान्सपोर्टेसन इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर यु हेभ द फ्रिडम अफ मोबिलिटी काठमाडौँ जस्तो सिटीमा चाहिँ त्यसको एब्सेन्स छ र फ्रिडम अफ मोबिलिटीमा सबभन्दा च्यालेन्ज कसलाई हुन्छ त मोबिलिटीमा भन्दाखेरि पिपल हु आर भनरेबल पिपल लाइक भिजुअली इम्पेयर्ड पिपल हु हेभ डिसेबिलिटिज उनीहरूलाई सबभन्दा च्यालेन्जिङ हुन्छ सेकेन्डमा गएर महिलाहरूलाई सबभन्दा च्यालेन्जिङ हुन्छ अनि त्यसपछि नर्मल जनसङ्ख्या जोसँग आफ्नो सवारी साधन छैन उनीहरूलाई पनि त अप्ठ्यारो हुन्छ त्यो भएर हामीले चाहिँ के सोच्यौँ भन्दाखेरि थ्रु सेयरिङ राइड्स अन अ मोटरसाइकल वी क्यान इनेबल एभ्री वान विथ द फ्रिडम अफ मोबिलिटी होइन चाहे त्यो भिजुअली इम्पेयर्ड होस् चाहे महिला होस् या जोसुकै होस् सो वी क्यान इनेबल पिपल विथ फ्रिडम अफ मोबिलिटी भन्ने कन्सेप्टबाट चाहिँ हामी हाम्रो एप चाहिँ फुल्ली एक्सेसिबल टु भिजुअली इम्पेयर्ड छ अहिले जो चिरञ्जी बोल्दै हुनुहुन्छ उहाँ हाम्रो फ्रिक्वेन्ट युजर हो टुटुलको हिजो अस्ति भर्खर हामीले उहाँसँग एउटा भिडियो सुट पनि गऱ्यौँ उहाँ हामीलाई कन्सल्टिङ पनि गर्नुहुन्छ उहाँ जस्तो थुप्रै यो सिइङ ह्यान्ड्स क्लिनिकको नेत्रविहीनहरूले चलाउनुहुन्छ जसले गर्दा उहाँहरूलाई इकोनोमिक अपर्च्युनिटी पनि पाएको महिलाहरू होइन हाम्रो 50% अफ हाम्रो युसेस महिलाहरूबाट हुन्छ त्यो आफ्नो एउटा पाटोमा छ भने अर्कोतिर के भयो भन्दाखेरि because you are sharing a ride on a motorcycle, it also gives you an opportunity of job with freedom. So That is how it comes. एकतिर चाहिँ freedom of mobility, अर्कोतिर चाहिँ freedom of flexible jobs. That's how it came.
You've had to struggle.
See, the biggest challenge in any venture, not only this, is to change people's behavior. Because human beings have a kind of a status quo bias, where they do not easily move from one part of the behavior to the other part of the behavior, even though the new behavior is more, it's much more easier for you. जस्तै भनौँ न, हाम्रो जस्तो देशमा डेभलपमेन्ट एजेन्सिजहरूले हात यसरी धुनुपर्छ नि बिलियन्स अफ डलर खर्च गर्छ नि. इट्स जस्ट अबाउट चेन्जिङ पिपल्स बिहेभियर इन्टु सो चेन्जिङ द्याट बिहेभियर वाज द बिगेस्ट च्यालेन्ज. किनभने नेपालमा एउटा त गिभिङ एन्ड टेकिङ अ राइड अन अ मोटरसाइकल बाई पेइङ वाज नट एन एक्जिस्टिङ बिहेभियर. अर्को मोटरसाइकल चलाएर इन्कम हुन्छ, त्यो पनि टेक्नोलोजी इनेबल्ड सिस्टमबाट पनि, त्यो पनि अर्को बिहेभियर. त्यो बिहेभियर चेन्ज गर्न चाहिँ सबभन्दा बढी च्यालेन्जिङ थियो, अपार्ट फ्रम द मेनी द्याट यु हेभ. तर मेरो लागि चाहिँ त्यो सबभन्दा गाह्रो र अप्ठ्यारो काम चाहिँ मान्छेको व्यवहार परिवर्तन. We have more than 35-40 people who work with us. We have a team of engineers and a full army of people.
So is it good, like for the riders, are there any incentives? Riders, I'm saying, for the
Bikers?
drivers, for the bikers.
Yes, they make their income through.
So what do you have, like, is it only on the ride basis ki kasto incentive or alag per ride?
It's per ride basis. But there are certain kinds of performance incentives which is always handled through technology. So प्रविधिबाट नै एउटा incentive based payment system छ. It's much like selling alcohol or like you sell 10 cases, you have 1 case free, something like that. So if you do more than 5 rides, or you do more than 10 rides or something like that, so we do have incentives.
So it's something like your Uber, what you had in Delhi.
Absolutely.
Or something like that.
Yeah. But there is a difference. Uber in Delhi is more of a taxi based.
Yeah, this is only like.
Yeah, there are taxi drivers who do Uber, right? But in US there are youngsters who do Uber. People who have employment do Uber. So total it's not just people who are doing it for daily income. सबैजनाले हुन्छ नि म जीविकोपार्जन नै गर्छु भन्ने टाइपले पनि गर्दैन. त्यस्तो गर्नेहरू पनि छन्, तर थुप्रै इन्जिनियर्सहरू पनि छन्, थुप्रै डक्टर्सहरू पनि राइड गरेको छ हैन. So it's more of a lifestyle for people.
Do you have any plans on fanning out to taxis or other vehicles other than bikes?
I think bikes are more interesting because bike मा चाहिँ त्यो sharing को proportion is 1:1 हैन. त्यो भएर अहिले चाहिँ हामी मोटरसाइकलमा छौँ, तर हामी horizontally scale चाहिँ we are scaling to Pokhara very soon. We are testing it out. We're going to Chitwan very soon, and I am very much inclined to bring it to Dhangadi, just because it's the part of the place that I was born, and I think it's a kind of a moral responsibility for me to bring Toodle here very soon. I hope you guys would like it too.
Looking at.
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm almost 40. So yeah, almost 40. I still have a couple of years to go till I get 40. But I started working at 22. Fairly young. So I worked for almost 12 years, 13 years before I chose to become an entrepreneur. And I often tell people that I am not a young entrepreneur. So I started entrepreneurship at an age where my beard is consuming more shampoo than my hair.
What inspired you to come up with this idea to this? The name. And
Yeah, name was very important, and people often ask me everywhere. So anywhere I go, people just ask me about the name. 10 days ago, I was in Senegal in a program, and even there, people were asking, how did you come with the name? So most of the people ask me about the name. It's an English word, too. It means a pleasurable ride. So it goes, and it's a verb, so it goes perfectly with our verb. It took us some time to find this name.
Were there some other names before this that you came up with?
Oh yes, there's a long story.
Could you tell us those names?
Your interview would be very long. I can share it.
Like just a few, the interesting ones and the funny ones maybe.
So what happened was when we began, सुरु गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ पहिला चाहिँ हामी इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी गर्ने उसबाट हामीले सुरु गऱ्यौँ. सो बाइक वाज नट इभन इन आवर माइन्ड. अनि त्यो सुरु गर्दाखेरि के राख्ने भन्दाखेरि यो इलेक्ट्रिक भेहिकल्समा राख्दाखेरि चाहिँ बिजुली राख्नुपर्छ भन्ने जस्तो. सो बिजुली वाज द फर्स्ट थिङ द्याट वी कन्सिडर. अनि बिजुली राख्न खोज्यो, बिजुली राखेपछि चाहिँ इलेक्ट्रिक गाडी त आफै किन्नु, काठमाडौँ इलेक्ट्रिक गाडी नै छैन होइन, नर्मल कारमा गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा भयो। नर्मल कारमा गर्नलाई फेरि के राख्नु, अब बिजुली त नाम भयो। त्यसपछि हामीले चाहिँ कारमा राख्नलाई चाहिँ अलिकति फ्यान्सी नेम क्याबियो भन्ने नाम सोच्यो कि हाम्रो लागि डोमेन बढी इम्पोर्टेन्ट थियो कि कसरी त्यो डोमेन नेम। सो cab.io स्लिदरियो भन्ने गेम छ नि। सो वी वान्ट टु ह्याभ अ डोमेन लाइक फर्स्ट वी वान्ट टु चुज अ डोमेन अनि त्यसपछि हामीले चाहिँ नाम अनि क्याबियो राख्ने। अनि पछि क्याबियो चाहिँ एकदमै त्यो हुन्छ नि कस्तो एकदमै कमन जस्तो लाग्यो कि। अनि एकजना साथी चाहिँ क्याबियो होइन बरु कार भएपछि लेट्स पुट car.ma CAR.ma। सो कारमा पनि हुन्थ्यो र कारमा पनि हुन्थ्यो क्या त्यो गर्नलाई। अनि त्यहाँ त्यसमा जिरो इन भइसक्यो, त्यो डोमेन पनि हामीले भेटाइसकेको थियो कारमा भनेर हामीले होइन। त्यसपछि यसो रिसर्च गर्दै गएँ कार त कसले सेयर गर्छ होला र काठमाडौँमा, किन कार इज अ भेरी एक्सपेन्सिभ थिङ एन्ड इट्स भेरी क्लोजली एसोसिएटेड विथ यो प्रेस्टिज। अनि त्यहाँनिर नै बिजनेस मोडललाई रिवर्क गर्ने आई थिङ्क वी सुड डु इट अन मोटरसाइकल्स भने कि मैले। सो मोटरसाइकल्समा गर्नु पऱ्यो, अब कारमा भन्ने नामै फेल खायो त्यसपछि। अनि आफ्टर अ लट अफ रिसर्च एन्ड थिङ्किङ थ्रु अ लट अफ थिङ्स, सो दिस प्रोसेस इटसेल्फ टुक 4 or 5 months. So after 6 months, one of my colleagues said, "So how got this name Tutul?" Immediately, it just got to our minds and we said, Tutul is going to be the name.
What year did you start working on the project?
We started working.
The inception of the idea.
It was around in 2016 January. We launched in 2017 January.
So did you ever suffer? Like, of course you must have. The main problem, transportation. Did you feel that it was really required? Your after experience or business?
होइन आफ्नो एक्सपिरियन्सले त्यो मैले भने नि मलाई त्यो म अन्टरप्रिन्योरसिप भन्ने शब्द भने नै मैले इन्जिनियरिङ पढ्दाखेरि सुने हो। सो आई नेभर ग्रु अप टु बिकम एन अन्टरप्रिन्योर, आई नेभर वान्टेड टु बिकम एन अन्टरप्रिन्योर। तर मैले काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ जुन एउटा फ्रिडम मान्छेलाई चाहिन्छ नि भने मैले ब्याङ्कमा पनि धेरै सिनियर पोजिसनमा काम गरेँ, टेलिकममा 7 वर्ष काम गरेँ बिकज आई स्टार्टेड भेरी अर्ली इन माई करियर। आई वाज डुइङ प्रिटी वेल इन माई करियर कि। तर के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि कर्पोरेट वर्ल्डमा काम गर्दा चाहिँ यु बिकम अ पार्ट अफ एन एसेम्ब्ली लाइन होइन। त्यो चाहिँ मलाई त्यो त्यति चित्त बुझेन। यु डोन्ट ह्याभ द्याट फ्रिडम होइन, आफूलाई त्यो फ्रिडम काम गर्दा फ्रिडम अफ एक्सप्रेसन। अनि मैले अन्टरप्रिन्योर बनेको चाहिँ इज टु एक्सप्रेस माइसेल्फ, इट्स नट टु सल्भ अ प्रब्लम। तर त्यो गर्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ वी सेड ओके राइट सेयरिङ कुड बी एन इन्ट्रेस्टिङ एरिया टु लुक इन्टु। अनि त्यो गर्दै जाँदाखेरि देन वी थट कि कस्तो प्रब्लम छ, भिजुअली इम्पेयर्डलाई कस्तो प्रब्लम हुन्छ। सो वी मेड फुल्ली एक्सेसेबल एप टु पिपल लिभिङ विथ डिसेबिलिटी। त्यसपछि गएर तपाईँको गएर महिलाहरूलाई कस्तो समस्या हुन्छ मोबिलिटीमा, एपमा त्यो फिचर नै राख्यो महिलालाई सेलेक्ट गर्ने। सो देन वी गट इन्टु सल्भिङ दिस मोबिलिटी प्रब्लम्स। सो द्याट्स हाउ इट happened. So it's nothing like I am a 21-year-old, aspiring entrepreneur. That wasn't the case.
How did your family reaction to your switch from engineering to entrepreneurship?
Well, they didn't have a reaction. So not having a reaction is a big reaction.
About your family?
My family is, so I come from a family of, my dad runs a construction business, but I haven't taken much from him, so I'm very proud of him. So my dad runs a construction business. He's socially active as well, Tutima. And I mean, he is doing well. अब तर उहाँहरूको लागि एउटा एस्पिरेसन हुन्छ नि छोराले आफ्नै काम गर्दैछ भने, which myself and my siblings have not actually lived up to. So we are all in our own direction. He's doing his own stuff. So that's how it is.
You have children?
Yes. I have an 11-year-old kid. And I've been married for 15 years. More than that, I think now it is 16. I'm the coolest dad that could be. I forgot to wear a shirt, but I have a shirt that says the coolest dad. If I stick around tomorrow, I can send a picture and send it to you. I have that shirt. I was supposed to wear it, but it didn't go with the color, so I just... Our son is 11 years old. He's a boy, and he goes to grade 6. He's He's a science enthusiast and a bit like me in terms of inquisitiveness.
What's his name?
Aryabhatta. So the inspiration behind his name was the scientist Aryabhatta who invented zero. The inspiration behind my name Sikshit is that I was born on February 24th, which happened to be Siksha Divas. So that's how my dad named me Sikshit. Yeah. But I'm glad that I have that name, and I actually share my birthday with three great people. One is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. The other is Steve Jobs, and the other is Yuval Noah Harari. Have you heard his name? He's the guy who's written this book called Sapiens. So my claim to fame is sharing birthday with these great people.
Okay, tell us a little about your wife now and we close it.
My wife is a development professional. She works for development organizations. We met in college 20 years ago.
Okay, you call it sweethearts.
Yes.
So, did you run away? Anything dramatic in that, or was it all
No,
normal?
it was pretty straightforward. How boring is that, right? Just got married, went to the family. So nothing exciting about that.
Okay, you first got married and then went to the family.
No. We went to the family and then got married. It cannot happen the other way around.
Some boss.
Yeah. You're probing me into a gossip now.
Yeah.
Don't build up a gossip story around me.
But before, will it reach all the parts of Nepal?
It will, definitely. Depending on where, of course, I cannot say that it'll reach Jumla. It'll reach a place where you have the thriving biking community and an aspirational youth. The last thing that I would like to actually share on a very serious note is that I saw a lot of electric three-wheelers. And I'm going to actually post it in my Facebook today or tomorrow. In 4 years' time, the last time I was here was in 2015, so almost 2019. There were human-powered rickshaws back then, right? And which has now been replaced by these humble scooters in a humble little town in Dhangari, which would be one of the most remote places in the world. But this is a great signal of how people from our part of the world can take a leap forward, right? From a human-powered vehicle to an electric vehicle. And it is not as flamboyant as a Tesla or any other electric vehicles, but it is a commendable thing to see, and a model that could be exported to the rest of the world as to people from this part of the world can exactly transform themselves into sustainable mobility, and which is a very, very important thing and should be shared to the rest of the world. That countries like ours can leapfrog in terms of development. The way we leapfrogged from not having a phone directly to mobile phone, and the way we are leapfrogging from a human-powered vehicle to an electric vehicle, and in this large number providing mobility. Since mobility is my area, I'm really excited about this, and I think it is up to you to share this story to the rest of the world.
I'm so sorry.
As to how we can export this model.
Also, one last
We have
thing.
a CNG thing in Kathmandu, so it becomes very challenging. But the natural alternative is to get into electric mobility. One of the things that you need to understand is that people don't need vehicles; they need mobility, and they need point-to-point mobility. So there's a global behavior change that's happening. Is that people should be enabled with that point-to-point mobility without owning their own vehicles. Right? And that part of mobility needs to be sustainable. I'll tell you why. 90% of the vehicles that are purchased at any given time are standing in a parking lot. 90%. Right? Your vehicle could be somewhere there, unutilized right now. So that means 90% of the steel that is produced, 90% of the carbon that is emitted in producing those vehicles are sitting idle. So the goal is how we can share that. If we can share vehicles, 10% of the vehicles would do, isn't it? So there is a global change in the mobility market. So Tootle is actually, on a long term, it would be competing with the motor manufacturers, because more rides are shared means less people should own their own vehicles. because people don't need vehicles, they need point-to-point mobility, and the whole idea is how we can transform that into sustainable mobility. So more than CNG, I think it's about taking a leap into the electric mobility.
So have you had plans?
So we will be experimenting with sustainable mobility very soon. Number one is to get the electric scooters, replace the gas guzzling bikes. The second is to also move into a bike sharing model. So I could just find a motorcycle, I can unlock, an electric scooter unlock with an app and just go to a point B. So if say I have to go to my house nearby, I can find a scooter that's locked, right? I could just use an app to unlock it, just go there, leave it where I am. Yeah, so we are already prototyping this technology, and hopefully maybe Q2, Q3 of 2019 we should be able to pilot that.
So is this like, did you get this inspiration from that? I think this was China, where you could take your cycles and just leave it there.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a very complex tech.
But this is a very complex model.
Yes, very complex. Yeah. But if you don't do it, who is going to do it then?